Hello and welcome everybody to the second round of the Simufur Pro Invitational Championship here, joined on the commentary booth by me, Denak Kalmari, and my co-commentator, Wolfin Foxdale. It's going to be an exciting race, the cream of the crop, the best, the fastest, the strongest. Everybody from the pro classification of Simufur is here now in Silverstone, ready to contend for the top spot on this really storied, historic track.
Yeah, super excited to be here. Silverstone has had such an amazing history, being around since the 1950s. And now we get to bring our Simufur drivers here once again to this historic track as we follow Azure around the track. They are now on their way to the Hamilton Straight out of Club. And I am super excited to be here. Last week, even with the technical difficulties, we had an amazing race with these guys, bumper to bumper for the lead almost the entire race. And I am just going to say it now. I am honestly expecting it to be here, or honestly expecting to have that happen here as well.
Absolutely, indeed. We saw from last week's race here, where with all of their pro drivers within a couple seconds of each other here, or really almost less than a second with each other here, which means very close competition from the top to the bottom of the field here. So we're going to be guaranteed to see some good racing here. And we also saw quite interesting that despite the pole sitter RK getting a really dominant, good pole position for the race here, that did not convert into a race win. They actually finished all the way down in 5th place at the start of the race here. So despite the fact that with pole position usually being in previous Simufur races being a very strong position, usually a very good indicator that you are going to be also winning the race here, that may not be the case here for this race, as we now see Azure going across the finish line here with a 159.590 on the track here. So yeah, this is going to be a very, very competitive class for sure. And I think now that we have a couple minutes left to go here on the track, we could have a bit of a look on the track overall with a bit of a track walk. So starting off here, welcome to Silverstone. It's a historic track built all the way back in the 1960s, if I do believe so myself. 18 corners, lots of high-speed fast corners here with a very important Maggots and Bickett's complex here, providing a very close racing from all of us here. There's going to be that long corner, long straight right after that in Hangar Straight now towards Stowe and towards Club Corner that then leads on over to the very technical Sector 3 towards the Abbey Village and Luffield complex at the back here. So we could definitely going to be seeing a lot of overtaking opportunities going down the Hangar Straight towards Stowe. And if you can get like that good of a run-up in Club, you can maybe even have a bit of a peak here towards the Abbey Corner as well here. But definitely favoring the more power-oriented cars here, perhaps the Ferrari or the McLaren here. But it's going to be very interesting to see how the cars are going to be faring here towards the start of the qualifying session in a couple minutes. I know for a fact that with the recent buffs that the Nissan GTR has had with their good top speed bonus here, I think they could be on for a pretty good result here from MN_.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I actually yesterday was just taking the GTR around Red Bull Ring, and it's a monster. It's fast, and I honestly would, especially on both the Hangar Straight and Wellington Straight, I think the GTR is going to have a bit of an advantage over these other cars. If MNU can really get themselves in a good spot at qualifying, I think they have a good chance of winning this if they're able to plan their pit strategies right.
It's going to be all down to how well they can get their pole position, qualifying, finish here, and how well they will be able to keep their head cool in the actual race here. We also see another fast lap coming in from Ashport at 159.1. And overall, I think we're expecting everybody here on this pro field to get under a 2-minute flat lap time here on Silverstone. With I think the fastest laps are going to be getting close into the 158s, and I think the absolute best of the best could be getting close to even a 157. But we're going to have to wait and see for the actual qualifying session to see who will be the top dog of this session. Do you have any idea who could that be? Who could that might be?
I'm gonna say it might actually be Azure. Azure led a good chunk of the race at Spa. They had an amazing race, and the McLaren's gonna definitely have an advantage here at Silverstone, just due to the long straights and the semi-complex corners. I'm gonna put my hat in for Azure. I think he's gonna get. I think he'll, at the very least, probably get pole unless RK has something to say to that. Who is also, I am now reminding myself of the fact that RK is also in a McLaren. So it's definitely gonna be. I honestly expect a McLaren 1-2 here.
Yeah, that is indeed very possible, but I think personally I would put my eggs in the basket for RK. They indeed have a very strong qualifying in Spa as well. That in Spa is also a track that favors the McLaren quite well with the long straights there and the long sweeping sections of the track here. And where RK was able to get that pole position, I do believe that RK is also going to be at least contending for pole position here in the Silverstone as well. But as we saw in the previous race here, Arcade did not quite get that start nailed down well. They dropped down quite a bit, all the way down into 5th place here. So we could see perhaps a repeat of that. I know Azure Goat is very much aware of the fact that he's probably stepping on the back foot here for the qualifying session here with I do remember him having many comments about RK Space throughout the week here. So I think that
I
could be a
think we
similar
all
situation
have.
here. Yeah. But I think it's just going to be down to, like, even if you're going to be getting that pole position, there's going to be the Maggots and Beckett's complex and that run up into Cops where there's going to be an opportunity for somebody to jump the start. And if they can get that run up into Cops, that's going to be you staying in ahead all the way through Maggots and Beckett's and through Chapel towards the Hangar Straight, because there's not going to be that many overtaking opportunities around Maggots and Beckett's. So it's
No,
just going to
but
be down to who can get that best run on lap 1, turn 1.
oh yeah, absolutely. And I will say, if you know how to do Maggots and Beckett's very well, you have a good chance of either gaining spots or having a fairly large gap, and it drastically improves your lap time, and it feels really good to be able to handle a complex like that. I think the last time we were here was correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it was AmChamp we were here the last time, and we saw a lot of the Am drivers having a little bit of trouble with the Maggots and Beckett's complex, and it did cost them fairly dearly. So I'm going to be eager to see where it lines up. And I'm going to point out that I was going to point out that our Bluey driver of Nuke, as I say that, I guess they were listening in. They now just set the fastest time of a 1:58.850. What an amazing time in that Aston.
Absolutely, indeed. And that goes to show that despite the Nissan GTR or the McLaren holding on their dominance here in the Silverstone track, yeah, we do have a new balance of power that we have provided courtesy of Low Fuel Motorsport here. That's going to be putting the cars a little bit closer to each other here on pace here. So despite the McLarens and the Nissan GTRs perhaps holding a bit of an edge on the straight line speeds here, the balance of power, the bit of an extra weight they have on their cars here is going to be giving the opportunity for Aston Martin, perhaps the like the car driven by Newt, the Aston Martin is going to be giving them the opportunity to hold on those provisional pole positions here. But this is only practice, because now it's going to be time for qualifying, and that's going to be the true test of who's going to be the top dog in hot lapping around this very technical, very tricky track here. So just going to be waiting for the last of our drivers to cross the finish line here and get ready for our first qualifying session around Silverstone. And if I am correct in my own statistic, I think it was indeed in the AmChamp that we last had a Silverstone race, at least the main GT3 car Silverstone race here. I do believe we had a run-up in the M2 cars, if I'm correct. I could also be incorrect in that, but either way, it's going to be interesting to see how these drivers are going to be tackling the Maggots and Beckett's section in race conditions, because we did see quite a lot of incidents in the AmChamp race time when we last saw the GT3s driving around here.
Yeah, we did, and a lot of them were at Maggots and Beckett's. So I don't foresee our pros here having the same issue, but you never know. You know, you're really pushing those cars on during racing, and it could happen at any time as we are now lined up for qualifying.
Yes, indeed. Now we're just going to be waiting to see who's going to be the first driver on the track to get a run here. It's usually going to be one of our regular runners of
It,
either Fez or Azure. And I do think it's going to be now Fez Fox that's going to be, yes, indeed. They're going to be the first driver out on the track here, going to be getting their tires warmed up, getting them into their optimum temperature here. But we do see Azure go right behind them, also very eager to perhaps utilize a bit of slipstream from the Ferrari 296 ahead of them to get that good run up on their track here, but there's going to be a little bit of a while until they get ready. It's indeed a very long track, so this is also going to be an opportunity for our drivers to warm up their tires as we see from Azure and Fez, just weaving left and right on the track, getting more temperature, more pressure into those tires to get that absolutely best lap here. Because with how long this lap is, you're not going to be having as many opportunities to get laps around here as compared to other tracks here with how long a single lap around is. So but we still have 30 minutes left on the timer here, so plenty of time, but it's not going to be quite as much as in previous sessions, perhaps.
yeah, definitely not. You're going to be doing a few laps. Well, I would say you're going to be probably doing more laps because remember, Spa is actually longer than Silverstone. Not by much, but a little. And so you're probably going to maybe get like maybe a lap, maybe two if you're really lucky. extra laps compared to Spa, so that could lead to some more timing opportunities as we see as you're right on the bumper of Fez, trying to get as much of that draft as he can as they get ready for their out as they get ready to set their first times. As we see Azure now weaving back and forth from the rear cam of the Ferrari 296. I will say I like these new cameras. They actually yeah, I
Yeah,
will say I do like these new cameras that we are trying out this race.
yes, we have indeed some new upgrades to our stream setup here to make some more dynamic, interesting angles here. But now it's going to be time for Fox going around Luffield to Woodcote to take us around on the first lap around Silverstone here. Now just getting ready to unleash the power on that Ferrari 296. Starting off with the legendary straight here towards Cops, that very fast right-hander, dipping at the brakes a little bit slow on the gas here, and then just unleashing that power again, heading towards the best entry towards Maggots and Biggest, that notorious left and right sweeping complex here. Shift down again, right. Shift down again, left, just balancing the throttle, balancing those brakes, just trying to stay as close to those curbs here, but not bouncing on those inside sausages too much here. Nice, well balanced here. Now then to unleash all of that power heading towards the hangar straight. You're just shifting up the gears here. Pretty good first sector here from Fox. Looking at the timing splits so far now, just going to be all the setup here towards Stowe Corner. Just sweeping and just carrying that as much speed as possible and getting as good of an exit as possible. Just swinging all the way wide here, just within the limits of the track here. Now heading now towards Valet, down towards Club Corner. That tight left-hander, the tightest corner here on the track so far. Now then again a quick dip to the right. Now then swinging around towards Club, now towards the legendary Hamilton straight here, where F1 cars would normally start here, but not here in the GT3s. That's going to be again unleashing the power of the Ferrari 296. Now again a bit of a dip in the brakes, a little bit of but also a gear down heading towards Abbey, then to Farm Curve, and now to that very notoriously tricky Village Loop complex here. Again hard on the brakes, just swinging it in, trailing them down into the loop, and then again a bit of a dab on the brakes here, all the way down into first to sweep in, get as good of an exit as possible. Now it was very important Iron Tree Quarter, then to the Wellington straight here. You can lose a lot of time if you can get that exit just right. It's going to again unleashing the power on that Ferrari here, just trying to find that right breaking point for the final Brooklands Luffield complex here, using that sign as a reference. Again, just swinging it wide, a lot of speed carry here, but again, just tucking it nice and clean here. Now for the final two corners through Luffield here, bouncing it as close to the inside curbing as possible here to get that good possible exit here. Finally now towards Woodcote here, dipping it really close on the inside line here, almost cutting the corner completely here, but that's going to be Vestfock on the inside line here, across the line with a very strong 158.3, with Azure Code right behind them, also securing themselves a 158.4. So our drivers are definitely right up on the top of their game here.
Yeah, they're definitely showing us what they can do. That is a great time as we see follow Randomy. I think Randomy right now is, I think if this time stays the way it is, I think this will be another position change. Will it be? The answer is no. It was fairly close to 159.3 or 159.2. I apologize. And as we follow Randomy going into Maggots and Beckett's, they're keeping it nice and tidy. I remember when we were here the last time, Randomy was in the Am Champ, and they did have a little bit of trouble going into Maggots. They took it a little bit too deep and were able to, and were unfortunately spun out because they just lost all their grip. It's nice to see that they really learned from that mistake and are now really improving.
Yes, indeed. I think it's also down to how the Ferrari 296 can handle the Maggots and Beckett's corner complex here. Though previously in the AM Championship, the Randomy did drive the Ferrari 488, the previous generation version of the Ferrari machinery here. But they both have similar characteristics where they are not quite happy with taking those curbs around, especially on the inside, those big sausages on the insides of Maggots and Beckett's corners here. So if it could definitely happen in the race here, where if they are a bit too aggressive on those curbs, that's just going to be unsettling the car here, and then you're just going to be spinning out into the grass here and invalidating your lap time, or even crashing in the worst case possible here. But so far, all of our drivers have been able to get a nice and clean lap times here so far. We do have had Caffey able to inherit a third place in the qualifying results here with 58.8, but currently it still seems to be a race between Azure Goat and Festbox here. We do see Azure Goat already on another 4/10th improvement here now, going around the track. I do believe that's going to be now down towards Woodcote and all that across the finish. That's going to be another improvement. Indeed, it's going to be 158.1, almost into the 157s as I had predicted. Indeed, I do believe there's still a lot of pace to be found by these drivers.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're still early into these races. Remember, the tires don't really get settled in until like lap 3 or 4. is when they really start to get settled in, and that's when you really start to see those lap times fall through. As we see a little bit of dust clouds coming from in front, I believe that would definitely be Fez Fox. They are really giving it everything they've got. They're going as wide as they can to make as much time as they can, but that is a bit of a risky move because you could not only you could gain time going through Magnus Baggins that way, but you could also lose time because you're running a really good chance of losing all that grip and then spinning out and going into Beckett's.
Yeah, well, this is qualifying after all, where your entire point is just making maximum risks here, cutting the corner as much as you did, as we already see Festbox again cutting the corner really deep, dipping the wheel on the grass here towards on the club corner. Now, they're a little bit high up on their delta. They had about a 2/10 delta on their last track here. They were going really wide into Abbey, into Farm Curve here. That's going to be cutting them really deep. That's unfortunately going to be losing all of the time they had gained in the first half of the track here. They're just going to be hoping to maybe claw that back now, going around Village towards Loop and Aintree here. Getting hopefully a bit of a better exit now going towards the Wellington Straight. They seem to have had a little bit of time, but that's not going to be quite enough. We do see also RK and Azure Gold behind them. Yeah, we do see Freshbox now just boarding their lap and going back for another run around the track here. But we do see Azure Gold on another 1/10 improvement on their track, heading now towards Brooklands, towards Luffield, to see if they can just balance the car just right. We're getting really close on those track limits on the inside of the AstroTurf here. That's going to be all down to just balancing that car just right. Oh, the exit towards Woodcote and towards that final finish right here. It's going to be a bit of an improvement here. It's going to be about a 10th and a half here. I think that's going to be just enough on a 158, not quite a 157. It is indeed 157.982. A very just strong lap from Azure Gold so far. That's going to be now down to the other drivers to see if they can match that kind of dominant pace.
Yeah, absolutely. We are now following Wushel, who has taken the third spot away from Caffey with a 158.5 and is now on an absolute charge in that Porsche as they head down the uh not the Hamilton Straight, heading down into Stowe as they head toward the.
Unfortunately, they do have an invalid lap at the moment, so they had a good run, but unfortunately, they're not going to be doing a run this one. But Caffey indeed is on a valid lap, and they are really improving on their lap times here so far. Now going around, I do believe that's going to be around, I think that's Club Corner heading towards the Hamilton Straight here on a almost 5/10 improvement here. Now heading towards, actually, I apologize, that was actually Bluefield here now heading towards Bluefield over across the finish line. It's going to be down a 158.3. Still not quite enough to beat Asher's very dominant 57.9, but we do see there are some pros here very eager to get that pole position for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking at the board right now. It is nothing but green numbers all the way around. They are all giving it everything they've got. They are gaining times everywhere they can. It is still 20 minutes left in this qualifying session, and the times just keep coming. As I don't, I think Azure is still in the pits. I could be wrong. I am wrong. They are out on the track at the moment. They are right behind Wushel, actually. They're probably going to try to. Oh, I'm incorrect. It is not. That was not Wushel. That was Dip. They have now caught up to the rear of the pack. Dip wisely letting Azure by, as we see him catching up to MNU underscore in at GTR, and as they head through Maggots and Beckets, I believe now this will be a. I think this is still a flyer, but I could be wrong. Um, yeah,
Yeah, they
and
are
now.
indeed. Yeah, they're going to be on an invalid lap at the moment. We're not going to be watching along Nuccio, who just improved on their lap time with a now 158.9, putting them up into 7th place here, getting quite close into the top 3 position here. We actually see from top 1 P2 all the way down into P7. All of them are within the same second here. I think it's only about half a second that separates from P2 all the way down into P7 here. So just fractions of a second, that's all you need from being at almost at the mid-pack to all just vying for a potential pole position, even potentially for a race win here if you can get that good qualifying here. So definitely a very, very tight spread between all of our competitors.
Yeah, absolutely. As we see Caffey on yet another good run, they are they've got 2/10 on their best time. This could potentially take the pole position away. Is it going to? No, very close to 158.055. That is an insane time coming from Caffey. They are now within like a 10th of being within Azure's best time, and I don't see that. I don't see that pole position lasting any longer at this rate.
Absolutely, indeed. They are really getting everything out of that car here to get as much as possible. It wasn't quite enough to get that time improved here, but we do see a lot of cars here still on their on good improvements here, trying to get those times as possible. We do see Arky on another fly here, about a tenth up on their previous lap time here, and hopefully they're going to be maybe trying to extract even more out of that car here to get into that top position here again. They did indeed get that pole position last time around here. Now they're probably just hoping to get another improvement. We also see Fest Fox here on another lap around Maggots. Actually, that's going to be not quite Maggots and biggest. I'm not quite sure what corner complex that is. I think it's going to be not going around the final corner here, heading towards the finish line. Yes, yeah, now heading towards Woodcote and towards the finish line. That's going to be not an improvement on their lap time here, but it's going to be getting close. We do see we have another 18 minutes left to go here, so there's anything could still happen. We do see also RK, Wushu, Kathy, Festbox, all of them are just really improving on the lap times here. So there's still a bit of time to be found, but I don't think we're going to be getting too many more 157s from our competitors.
No, I don't. I don't see like many 157s. That was just an absolute monster of a lap, and it will definitely play. It will definitely. It's definitely helping out Azure a lot because that's going to be a really tough time to beat. I've. I don't think I've ever seen a 157 as of late in Simufur here at Silverstone. So it's going to be tough. I will be. I'll say it now. I don't know if I'm thinking about it now. I don't think they're going to be able to beat it.
Yeah, we'll see. If I am going to be speculating a little bit here, I think there could be a bit of an axe to grind for Asher with seeing how Arcade just quite easily beat Asher into the pole position in Spa here. So I think Asher has a bit more fire under themselves, just extracting every bit of ounce of pace from that car to hopefully beat Arcade this time around and keep that top position here in the Simufur, because we do have heard quite a lot of colorful commentary Asher regarding RK here, so it's going to be a very, very interesting race for sure here with these two very equally matched McLaren drivers.
Absolutely, and let's not forget that Azure has also been in other series, the Race Championship International Series, where he has been doing insanely well in those series as well, usually winding himself up either in the top 5 or on a podium. And the only time where he's not ended up in a podium, it's usually just been because of driver error from the guy behind. And I think this is a little bit of redemption from the last time he was here, which was at RCI, where he had the lead the majority of the race until somebody opted to go too deep going into the Wellington straight, and unfortunately collected Azure in the process, ruining their race. And I think this is now a redemption run for him.
Yes, indeed. We also now saw RK crossing the finish line with another improvement on their lap time, a 58.3, but it's still not going to be quite enough to beat Azure's 157.9. We did see Kathy improve on their own lap time into a 158.0.055. So I think at least Kathy has an opportunity to perhaps pip Azure for the pole position here. But with 50 minutes to go, that could definitely be a possibility for Azure to also improve on their own lap time here. We also see Saber Kitsune here at the bit of an off pace here, but now currently on another 5/10 improvement here, going across the finish line. It's going to be quite a strong jump up in the standings, if I'm correct. It's going to be, yeah. Actually, I'm mistaken. That was actually now on their improvement lap. I was looking at the wrong part of the map here. But yeah, they're currently on a almost 7/10 improvement on their lap time at the moment now, hoping to get absolutely everything extracted out of that car here. We actually had a bit of an interesting situation with Saber Kitsune. They had a lot of technical difficulties just before the race here, where their wheels completely stopped working. So we are quite lucky that Saber Kitsune was able to get those issues fixed, and now going to be here joining us here on this grid here, because the more drivers, the better they are, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And they have now gotten off the Hamilton straight. They're on their way to the start finish line, heading down to Woodcut. Still an absolutely monster of a lap. 0.6 is what I could see. And as they head through Woodcut, let's see where it winds up. It is going to be a 1 position improvement, but still an improvement nonetheless. A 159.580, an amazing time from Saber. And I honestly expect to see even more, because they did an amazing job at Spa. But I remember them saying that, Spa was just a track they were comfortable with. I don't really see that happening here, especially with the LFM Bob in play. The Lamborghini is a little bit kneecapped when it comes to power here because of that bop. So we'll have to see how much he's able to work with that.
Yeah, and speaking of drivers, we haven't really mentioned much here so far. That's going to be Simon Luck, currently sitting in P7 with their S-Cargo car of one number 31 here. They're also on a pretty good improvement here, now currently going around Luffield, heading towards the Woodcote here to improve on their own lap time as well here. We will also get a good improvement on their lap times as well. They're going to be now sitting about 3.5 tenths an hour going across the finish line. That's going to be a new lap time of a 158.5. Not going to be an improvement in positions, but it's going to be getting them much closer to those potential top 4, top 3 positions even. We also saw another improvement from Azure Code, a tiny bit. I think it was only like 2 or 3 hundredths of a second here, but that's going to be just them further solidifying their position as the provisional pole sitter so far, with only extending that gap to Caffey, who's currently sitting about a tenth off.
About a tenth off, yeah, and it was a 9:35. I believe the original time was a 9:85. So definitely, it's even though it's a small improvement, it's an improvement nonetheless, and it will definitely help Azure keep that pole position. Unless somebody gets a monster of a lap, which judging by the times at the moment, I don't really see happening just yet. So I think we'll probably see that more toward the end. There's 12 minutes still to go. Plenty of time to make some last minute adjustments, get yourself out on track, and try to set the best time possible.
Yes, indeed. Now we're seeing a lot more red on our timing sheets here. We already saw Fest going a bit too wide into Corpse Corner that unfortunately invalidated their lap time here, so they're just going to have to go around the track again to have another go at a new hot lap here. But we're going to be seeing that people are getting quite close to the limit of their pace here. Now it's just going to be down to extracting the tiniest couple meters of the exits here, getting a kilometers per hour faster in the corner entry here, just extracting those tiny margins here, because those tiny margins are now what counts. Because we already see like the distance between pole sitter and P2 is only a tenth of a second here, so it could be just down to you getting a monster of an exit on one good corner, and that's going to be you sitting in pole position here. So it's going to be definitely a lot of cars just pushing to the max here for these final 11-ish minutes of the race, of the qualifying session.
Yeah, as we follow Caffey, they are now heading, I believe this is Village. It's hard to tell from the angle that we're in at the moment. Um, I believe
Actually,
this
Hamilton
is
straight.
yeah, it is the Hamilton Straight. So I was right. So they are now entering the Village complex, and they are absolutely on a bit of a tear. A 1/10 improvement. If that 1/10 improvement stays, they might actually be able to steal the pole position away from Azure. Could this be the end? It's a point 0.2, a point 0.3. So this is a monster of a lap. If they keep this up, this might actually end the reign of Azure's pole position. We'll have to see. They're losing a little bit of time in the Hamilton Straight or the Wellington Straight as they the head down towards Luffield and then Woodcut. And let's see where it winds up. They're heading down toward Woodcut now. It's still a 2/10 improvement. I do believe this might do it. Here they come any second now. And the answer is yes, it will. 1:57.832 is now the new top time of this session.
Yes, indeed, a very strong lap from Cappy, securing themselves into another 57 lap time here. So, but we do see Asher right behind them, also on another improvement on their own lap time here. Also hoping to maybe steal the pole position again back from the Rexy Racing livery car here. Now they're just going to be going around. I do believe that's going to be now heading towards the village complex, now heading to Aintree and then the Wellington Straight. They're on a tiny improvement as well here, but we do see another improvement coming in from Cappy, also sitting on another 2.5 tenth improvement on their next fastest lap here. So I do believe there's a bit of track evolution happening here, with the track getting a bit more rubber. As we see a car going in the background, I do believe there's RK just veering off deep into Aintree here. Hopefully not going to be causing too much damage on that car here, but they're going to have to definitely go back to the pits and repair their car for another run here. But we're going to be going back to Azure here. Now going on the exit of Luffield towards Woodcote here. Ooh, a bit too wide, but I think it's going to be just barely enough to maybe beat their lap time. No, it's going to be not quite enough. It's going to be 15 hundredths of a second separating Kathy and Azure Goat from provisional pole position here. So this seems to be definitely a two-horse race for the
This is
pole.
absolutely definitely a two-horse race. It's going to be I think this might be a repeat of Spa. These two were absolutely going at it during the race. They had amazing pace, and Azure was doing everything they could to keep Caffey back. I think they're going to definitely try to improve on that time, and they definitely are. It is green all the way for Azure as they sit. I don't believe they're going to be improving, but we'll have to see because they're gaining a tenth, and that tenth is all they need. They're giving it everything they've got. Now they just got to hold it as we follow Fez heading down in the main corner. And Fez out of nowhere with a 157.842. What a massive improvement. And Fez is going to park it and say, man, my job is done here. I think I'm going to be happy with what I have right now. As we see Azure giving it everything they've got, I think they've lost a little bit of their momentum in the early sectors, but now they're pushing and giving everything they've got. Let's see if they're able to improve heading into Village, and they are. They're definitely improving, and this may turn out to be a game changer here.
Yeah, this is very wild from our top three competitors here, from Caffey, from Fez, from Azure. All of them sitting within a 157.8 and only 15 hundredths of a second separating all three of them. So it could be pretty much anyone, any of these three here that could be potentially holding on the position here with only 7 minutes left to go on our qualifying session here. We also saw Simon in the background briefly sitting on a top three spot here after getting a good improvement on the lap time. It's going to be, Azure going a bit too wide on the exit. I do believe that's going to be exit of Wood Luffield here. That's going to be now then just importing their lap here and preparing their tires again for another run here. But we do see Simon also hoping to get another good run here. A bit of a wheel on the grass as well now. Do believe that was going to be the exit of Lube now heading towards the Wellington Straight here. We do see Newbie ahead of them as well on another run at the moment. We don't see anybody currently on an improvement on their lap time here, with everybody indeed just pushing to the max here, which also means just violating those track limits and invalidating their lap times here. So it's going to be now down to finding those couple final meters here on every single corner to get that pole position here.
Yeah, I just was looking at the lap times. I definitely saw Caffey's was definitely improving on their lap, and they still are to an extent. They were for a minute, and then it just suddenly dropped down. I don't know what happened there. It could have just been a little bit of an error on our end, but we see Azure is now back out on track as well, giving it this is probably going to be their last shot at getting those times, because there's only 6 minutes left to go in this session, so only a few laps remain until qualifying is over.
Indeed, and I do believe it was going to be down to Caffey perhaps cutting a bit too deep into maggots or going too wide in cops that invalidated their lap time, and that's why they're just going to be going around the track here, hoping to have another run around on the track here. But indeed, with only 5 minutes left to go here, I think with the cars now on track, this is going to be their last opportunity to get those good times, because it's going to be taking at least a lap or 2 laps to get the tires into their optimum window, into their optimum temperature and pressure, to extract every ounce of pace from their cars here. So it's going to be now down to see if Fez, Caffey, or Azure can get those improvements here. But I think there could still be an opportunity for Simon or RK to improve if they can get really good lap times on their own. They could also have an opportunity to sit in the top 3 potentially. But I think it's going to be mostly down to these 3.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. It is going to be another 3-way battle for this win here at Silverstone. And if last week was any indication, I believe we're going to have a lot of amazing racing coming from these 3 drivers, and I honestly expect this. I honestly definitely see a repeat of what happened last time.
Yes, indeed. And we're also getting a bit of a commentary in the chat about getting an uwu by the commentator as well. Since RCR commentators did the same, and we are indeed furious, I think we're very liberally just say uwu.
Oh my god. Of course you would.
I mean, there's nothing wrong. Yeah, we have a couple of minutes left to go. Yeah, there's still plenty of time to talk about just all the kinds of racing and kind of fun stuff we have around here. And don't forget, we also have the Ferrari Challenge Championship that we are currently running here. It's going to be run every single Friday, while the Pro Championship is run every single Sunday. So if anybody here in the chat is interested in in participating in these races here, you are more than welcome to join us. You just type in simufur.gg/simufur. You're going to be, apologies, it's going to be Discord twitch.tv/Simufur. That's going to be the URL. To join us here in Simufur, to hop on these races here to see if you can also see how your pace fares against these very competitive, very high skill drivers here. Going to be watching on board Azure Court here, now going on probably one of their last runs around Silverstone here, now heading towards the Mackett's and Beckett's combats here, hoping to just extract a little bit more about that car here. Oh, actually, apologies, that was also them going down the Hamilton straight here. Going to be now currently in the village complex here. With a tiny bit of an improvement, but I think a poor exit of village here just caused them to lose a bit of time. They're going to be now 10th down on their previous best, so it's not going to be down to see if they can just get an absolute best run going down Brooklands into Luffield to claw that time, but that's going to be quite unlikely. They're just going to be going around, going a bit wide into the exit. It's going to be compromised. Their exit now going around towards Luffield and towards Woodcote, so I don't think it's going to be an improvement from Asher, but it's going to be them getting almost an improvement here. But we do see Fez Fox currently on another 10th or so improvement, now going around the village complex, heading towards Aintree and then the Wellington straight here. That's going to be a potential new pole position time here if they can just hold on that car just enough. That's just going to be then unleashing their power. Actually, that could be... Oh! But that's a surprise. That's an RK pole position coming from nowhere with a 157.770. That's going to be potentially not enough for Fez to even improve on the lap time to get that pole position back here. But we do see there is indeed a chance for RK to also be sitting in this. That's going to be a four-way fight between these competitors here. That's going to be now Fez Fox going around... Go around Luffield towards Woodcote. It's extracting a little bit of... It's going to be an improvement from then in D, but I don't think it's going to be enough for a pole position. No, it's going to be not enough. It's going to be 1500ths of a second off from RK's time here. But with only 2 minutes left to go here, it's still all RK, Fez, Kathy, all still fighting for their potential provisional pole positions up here, spot here. But we do see RK has now decided to call it. They can't have enough time to improve on the lap time there. But we do see Asher Core now just going around, just extracting everything from that car. Now it's going to be now them going on the Hamilton straight here, just on another 1/10 of a second improvement, now heading towards Appy into Farm Curve towards Village here. A little bit of a too poor of an exit. It's going to be at wheel on the crash. It's going to be again compromising their time, compromising their speed here, but they still seem to be holding on strong here, heading towards Village, towards the loop, to hopefully just get that tiny little bit more here. It's going to be an incredibly close fight between all top 4 of our drivers here. At the moment, it's going to be now Azure just unleashing as much of that McLaren horsepower, now heading towards Wellington straight here, towards Brooklyn. It's going to be still holding on that 1.5/10 improvement now, heading towards the exciting Brooklyn's Luffield Corner Complex here. Can they just hold on just enough? A good, tidy exit. That's all what they need around here at the moment to keep on that pole position hope here. They're just going to be just unleashing, getting as wide on the exit, heading towards Woodcote. It's going to be an improvement. It's going to be another lap. It's going to be an improvement, but I think it's going to be just barely enough to get a new pole position of 157.742. But we do see RK, we do see Fez Fox, we do see Kathy on an actual monster of a lap here, at 3/10 currently on their current lap time here so far. Now also heading towards Luffield, now towards Woodcote. This could be our new pole position here right now. There's going to be cutting that corner as steep as possible into Woodcote. That's going to be now across the finish line. A bit of a poor compromise exit. It's indeed going to be another improvement. It's going to be 157.667. It's going to be incredible stuff from all of our competitors. With only 30 seconds left to go on our session here, everybody's on a monster of a lap here trying to get for that pole position.
Yeah, let's not point out Wushel is on a 3/10 of improvement. They've been kind of quiet this entire qualifying session. They may be able to take the either a top 3 position or gain an amazing improvement as we see Fez heading off the side. Azure is also with a little bit of a, well, they were on a little bit of an improvement. They've now kind of evened it out. They're going to give it everything they've got. This is going to be the last chance that they got. The session is now officially ended. So whatever lap they have, this is going to be it. I'm keeping an eye on Wushel's time. I don't think it's going to be enough to improve into the top 3 spots, but it may be able to knock Fez off that P4 spot, which will definitely help her out later on during the race. As we keep an eye on Azure Go, their times have been either improving or staying neutral. It's just only just now coming into the Wellington straight have they lost time, and they're just going to call it quits. That's going to be it. So I think unless RK is able to improve on their time here, that is going to be our standings for now, as RK is doing everything they can, but they are still kind of in the red. They still are in the red as they come across down the Hamilton straight into the Village complex, heading down. I don't see be an improvement. Oh, and they go wide. Oh no. That's very unfortunate.
Yeah, that's indeed going to be it. We do still have Newt currently on an improvement on their own lap time. We also see MN underscore still on their own valid lap at the moment, hoping to improve on their lap time. But that's not going to be enough to fight for the pole position spot. That's going to be now Newt across the finish line with a 158.995. Not going to be enough for contending the pole position here. But we do still have that Nissan GTR of MN underscore now going around Luffield towards Woodcote. Hoping to also get that final bit of improvement that's possibly not going across the finish line. It's going to be another improvement. It's going to be now a 159.1. It's going to be an improvement, but an incredible drive from all of our competitors. With 4, even 5 drivers all vying for that pole position. But in the end, it was Caffey with a
Yeah,
monstrous 157.667 just taking that pole position. But it's not going to be an easy race for any of these competitors. They are all potential winners here.
yeah, absolutely. The gap between the top 4 drivers is under a second. Now, you might think that's a lot, but remember, that's 4 drivers under a second. The competition is going to be absolutely insane. I am super excited for this race. It's going to definitely be down to the wire and it's going to be down to pit strategies. I'm stoked. This is going to be very interesting indeed.
Very, very interesting indeed. And it's not even just a second, it's within a tenth of a second from P1 to P3. And from P1 all the way down into P7, they are all within the same second. So incredibly close timing from all of our competitors, and I am very, very excited to see. And also looking at the sector times, it's very, very close indeed, with nobody holding all of the purple sectors here. With Caffey, the current pole sector, only holding 1 purple sector from on their pole position laps so far. So it could be just down to who can get that first run up into a Cobbs, into Mackett's and Pickett's in the start of the race here to see who's going to be then holding on the lead here. But it's also going to be just down to that pit stop strategy to see if they
Yeah,
can just get that undercut. Perhaps it's going to be a lot of undercutting happening this race. I think so.
I agree. I think the undercut's going to be very strong here. The pit lane is not as long as say something like Spa or Misano, but the undercut is very strong here. And if you're able to undercut your opponent and it works out, then that's positions gained. And I think that's what's probably going to be the best strategy for here. Though we may actually see somebody being brave enough to maybe try to go for an overcut.
Yeah, it's just going to be down to how well they can manage those tires at the end of the race here. But we're just going to be also going through our qualifying results so far with Caffey again holding on that pole position again. Congratulations to him. There's going to be sitting down in P2. It's going to be Azure Goat, a very, very good 57.742 from them, with RK running out that top 3 in all within 157.7 seconds here, all the way down from P1 into P4. So it's going to be a very, very fun race for sure. And I do think it's going to be a possibility for Caffey, Azure, Arky, Fez, or even Wushel to get that first run up into T1 and hold on the lead of the race here so far. So, yeah, what do you think?
I think so long as everything goes well going into the Maggots and Baggots complex where no incidents happen, knock on wood. I honestly think that it's probably going to be a fight. It's going to be as Azure versus Caffey part 2. And I think if Azure's lucky and able to get a jump on Caffey like they were able to get it on RK in the last race, I think they might have a chance here.
Yes, indeed, but we cannot discount RK and Festfox as well. They are sitting on the second row of the grid here. But if there's going to be perhaps like some bit of bish passing or like a very hard racing moment between Caffey and Asher, that could give the opportunity for RK and Fest to just slip right past them and get into the lead of the race as well here. So it's going to be a very exciting race start for sure here. And also looking further down the field here, I think if I had my correct, I think everybody was able to get a sub 2 minute time here at least. So even with a pretty good split with our car here. But now we're going to be getting ready for the track walk here, starting off with our top pole position sitter, Caffey, a 157.667, a very, very good run from them. Starting up in P2, it's going to be Azure Goat of Racing Team Silverlu, or I think there's a racing team solved. I think that's the RCI team for sure in a 157.775. But that's going to be then down to RK sitting in P3, a new contender of the field here. Let's see if they can also challenge for another win again here after their last races. Unfortunate accidents here. That's going to be sitting in P4. It's going to be our Simufur driver, Fess Fox, their classic Ferrari 296 number 86 liveried car here. It's going to be then down in P5. It's going to be Wushu, that very familiar pink and white Shork Racing liveried car here, hoping to perhaps challenge for a potential win as well here. Sitting down in P6, it's going to be another one of our pro newcomers. It's going to be Simon Luck in their S-Cargo team. Very Spiral-themed sweet roll car here. Hopefully also to get perhaps a top 3 position from all of this carnage that's going to be happening. Sitting down in P7, it's now going to be a newbie Nick in a very striking yellow striped, yellow and black Porsche 992. Joined alongside by Super Kitsune, sitting in P8 with that very unusual Lamborghini. They are normally a Nissan GTR driver, but for this race, they decided to go for a Lamborghini Huracan instead. Sitting down in P9 is going to be our Blue E driver, Newt, in a very striking blue, black, and red Aston Martin V8 Vantage, joining up alongside by Emin Underscore in their very first Nissan GTR run with had a very I think it's caramel something car. A very anime style theme here for sure. Sitting down in P11 is now going to be randomly sitting in their very pretty pink and white Ferrari 296, joined up by our last but not least driver, Dipping Sauce, sitting in their other very chromy chrome, silver, and pink for Aston Martin V8 Vantage. Despite Dip not being able to get the lap time they would have hoped for in the race here, I do think there's still going to be a chance for them to get into the top 5 for sure, if there's going to be perhaps some incidents happening at the front of the field.
Yeah, a fun fact with Randomy's livery, it's similar to Azure's. It's not, even though they are not in the same team, the livery that Randomy is using is another Ridge Racer livery. I honestly forget the name of the team off the top of my head, but I do know that it is definitely one of those Ridge Racer project liveries, and it's quite stunning.
Absolutely, indeed. And that's going to be time for our competitors to go around on their formation lap around Silverstone. A very, very exciting time for sure here, with all of our cars just riding their brakes, weaving left and right, getting the temperature, the pressure into those tires, get that absolutely best possible launch here for the car. And thinking about the race start, I do believe it's going to be Azure starting up on the outside line here, going towards Cops. It's not going to be completely cut and dry, because that Porsches are really good at starts with their naturally aspirated engines. So it's going to be perhaps a bit of an uphill battle for Azure to get that good launch going off turn 1 to hopefully get that one. But anything can happen. We're going to be very excited to see for sure.
Yes, definitely. And I for one, if Azure's able to get a lucky jump, and let's not forget, they may be starting on the outside going into turn 1, but remember, the next turn going into Maggots and Beckett's, that's on the inside corner. Azure would technically have the advantage if they're able to kind of sneak their way next to Caffey going into that corner, so they may be able to make a move early on. It'd be very risky, but it might work out for them.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what's going to be happening here. Our competitors are still just going around the Wellington straight at the hangar straight. Apologies. Going to heading towards Stowe and just calmly running their brakes here, holding on their tire temperatures as good as possible now. And looking further down the field here, we do also see a very close fight. I think it's going to be a very close fight from all the way down from P5 into P9 and P10 here, with everybody qualifying very close to each other here. So it's going to be very, very interesting so for sure. And talking about the weather, it's going to be a very cool day. Overcast, a very typical overcast British day here at the moment, so it's not going to be quite as warm for the tracks here, so it's going to be perhaps helping our drivers keep the tire temperatures on their cars. They're not going to be wearing out as well here, so we are probably going to be seeing our drivers opting to extend their pit stops for as late as possible in their window. So again, as a reminder, our competitors have to, in their pit stops, to get new fuel and switch their tires. It's going to be a 20-minute pit window as is standard in Simufur. So it's going to be probably a lot of the competitors are just going to be opting to extend their stint for as late as possible, and just to make sure they have the freshest tires possible for their last stint.
Yeah, and when they do the stint is going to be the most important. So as you said, the later the better. And so long as they don't get any damage or anything that might affect the car, I honestly see that people are probably going to get start going into pit lane probably within like the 10-minute mark of when pit window opens. We don't often see drivers going in immediately after, though we did see that happen at Spa with Azure going in almost immediately, and it actually worked out for them in the end. They were actually able to jump all of them, including Caffey, going with that strategy. I don't see that happening here, but you never know. It could very well happen.
Yeah, we will have to wait and see. There is indeed a very strong advantage to help maintaining your track position here on the track here, with now competitors now going side by side, 2 by 2 for now their run up into Luffield and Woodcote. So we're going to have to come back to that strategy talk later in the race here, because now it's going to be our competitors getting ready for the race start here. A very exciting 13 car grid here, all vying for that potential glorious win in Simufur. It could be anybody's game here, from P1 all the way down into P12 here. That's going to be now Caffey leading our pack here, heading now towards the cops, heading towards the main straight and heading ready for cops. Everybody just holding their speed, watching for those lights, just waiting for that green flag, waiting for it to drop, getting ready with everybody's adrenaline pumping. My adrenaline pumping for sure here, with all of these very exciting competitors here, hoping to get that good one here now, just waiting for those green lights to go any second now. Almost going across the finish line. Waiting. Any second now.
Yeah.
And it's green with the Rexy Racing Cavi getting a monstrous start and heading towards Corpse Court here, with the Ashencourt actually being under threat from Festfox and Arky right at the beginning here. Now just hoping to hold off that charge here from two cars here. We also see Festfox right in the background here. It's going to also see a couple of cars here at the back, so going 2 by. It's going to be Simon Newbie also going side by side. It's going to be Arky and Fest now holding all that very good strong position here, with also Wushu right in the background here. Everybody in the top 5 getting a very good run up here so far. We do see a couple of positions, a lot of fighting happening in the background as well here. A bit of grass here coming from Simon. It's going to be Simon under threat from Newbie coming out of the background. They're going to be going side by side, heading towards Hanger straight here. Newbie hoping to get that slipstream up on the Aston Martin, the advantage here. There's going to be Simon holding out the outside. Newbie diving in deep, but it's not going to be whatever. It's going to be contact. It's going to be Ivan. It's going to be he's spinning. I saw him spinning in the background. It's going to be a yellow flag. Oh no! Hopefully he can get that. Oh, it's going to be an unfortunate incident from the Nissan GTR driver here, but it seems like they have avoided any major damage from their car. They're going to be just driving right away here. A very unfortunate start here, but they're going to be driving it. It's got to be now Asher and Caffey both escaping away, with now RK and Festfox, both of them just competing for their P3 and P4 spots here at the track at the moment. But it's going to be Asher and Caffey both just escaping away, hoping to get that run off on into the Wellington straight here. They're just a very, very clean start from all of our competitors, but very, very exciting.
Yeah, definitely. Azur's looking right on the bumper of Caffey. It was last time it was Azure trying to defend from Caffey. This time it's Caffey trying to defend from Azure. Azure's having a pretty good, a fairly good amount of time trying to keep up with Caffey in that Porsche. They're giving it everything they can. Remember, the Porsche does not have the advantage in the straights. That will be 100% McLaren. And I think Azure's going to try everything they can to kind of keep that advantage in their court, because remember, there are a fair more straights than there are corners. So if Azure's able to play it right, they may be able to make a move later on in the race.
Yes, indeed. Now we're going to be watching a replay of what happened at the start of the race here right now. Just going to be watching now. It's going to be a replay of MNU, and I think it's going to be Newt and Dip and Randaby all the way at the background. It's going to be now MNU holding up on the inside line here, heading towards down the Wellington Hanger straight here towards Stowe. It's going to be a contact, bit of a hit on the rear back panel of that Nissan GTR, unfortunately costing them to spin out. But they were lucky to avoid the barriers there, so they can still drive safely.
Yeah, definitely. It looked like it was just a little bit of a love tap into Newt, and unfortunately it cost them it just caused them to spin. As we see Azure's right on the bumper of Caffey. They're trying to make a move on the inside. Is it going to work? No. They had an amazing run going into the straight, but unfortunately they weren't able to capitalize on it as they head, I believe this is heading into the Hamilton straight. They're heading down into they're heading into the Hamilton straight right now. He had a little bit of a run going in, but unfortunately he lost it. They had to let off because he almost went into the back of Caffey there, but was able to save it.
Yeah, well, we just saw that. We also saw an overtake happening between Arky and Fest, with Fest able to get around that McLaren 720S here in the background, able to get that lead up into the top 3 position. We also see a bit of a yellow flag happening. Oh, it's going to be... That's Sabre.
That's Sabre.
That's Sabre. They're spun. Something seems to have happened between Sabre and Nude. I do believe they've both lost a lot of time there. They both seem to have damage. That's going to be Evan Underscore now going around on the outside of Sabre Kitsu, and they're both now just going to be all the way down at the back of the field here. Unfortunately, even for both of their drivers here, a very fortunate race, but that's going to be now Sabre and MNU both hoping to get back. We're just going to be watching a replay to see what exactly happened here. And then that's going to be now Saber, I do believe they're quite far away from anybody. So was it actually just a mistake that happened? We also see Mute in the background going a bit too wide on the exit towards the Hamilton straight here. There's going to be Saber going, oh, it's going to be Jim just going a bit too loose on towards the Abbey corner here. It goes into spin out, forcing Mute to have some evading action, but well done for everybody from avoiding that spin. Throwing that spin and avoiding any further incident, but an unfortunate spin from Saber, now dropping them all the way down to last.
Yeah, definitely. That is very unfortunate, but the good thing about it was they did not sustain any damage. The only thing that's probably going to be a big issue now is the tires, because they're probably definitely cooked at this point from the spin. As we return to the fight between Azure and Caffey, and Caffey went very deep going in the. I believe that was out of Beckett's. They went right into the grass. Is this going to be the advantage Azure needs? Unfortunately, not yet. But they definitely are seeing blood, and they're definitely pushing hard, trying to see if they can maybe make Caffey make a mistake.
Absolutely, indeed. Azure has been staying close to that rear bumper of the Porsche 992 this entire start of the race here so far. We also see Fez and Arky in the back and also having their own fight here, but they don't seem to have quite the pace of the top two drivers here, with already Fez dropping about 1.4 seconds off the top two drivers at the moment here. It's got to be just down to see if Azure can stay close enough to Caffey, pressure them to make that mistake and get the move around here, because it seems like it, with how fast both these cars are, it's just going to be down to who will choke, who will make that first mistake to get past their cars. But they're getting really close into Village Complex here. Azure almost kissing the bumper of that Rexy Porsche ahead of them, but not going to be quite enough to spook them. Caffey holding on their nerves strong here, now heading towards Aintree, towards the Wellington straight here. Again, just holding on that bit of, it's going to be too long of a gap, I do believe, for the McLaren of Azure behind them to get around here. But you also see in the background, that's going to be, I do believe that's going to be Newbie getting really close again to the bumper of Simon Luck, as we'll hope to have another run up into towards Luffield and Woodco. It's not going to be close enough to move around here, but we do see that pressure being applied as well to Simon. It's going to be just, again, just hoping to see them make a mistake here, perhaps a bit too wide into Cops. That's going to be giving the best run possible to get that overtake done.
Yeah, they're keeping it. Newbie's giving it everything they've got. They've been right on the bumper this entire time, and they've gotten close, but they've not been able to get a good enough move in to try to get around Simon Luck. And they've been really, like I said, they've been really pushing, and it's going to be close. They've all 5 of these cars, actually all 7 of these cars, are within at least 2 seconds as we turn to the fight between Dip, Newbie, and Dip, Randomy, and Newt. They are all in their own little fight. Dip doing their best to hold off Randomy, and it's been working out so far. But Randomy now has another problem. They've got the car of Newt right on their bumper. Newt has a bit of a run. Here they go. They're going on the inside. Is it going to be enough? Neck and neck going into the corner. Is it going to be enough? Newt is wide, but it might work. Yes, it will. That is a position gained from Newt. What an amazing move going on the outside to make that move stick.
Yes, a very bold move from Newt going around on the outside of Stone to get the overtake done. They utilize that slipstream perfectly on the towards Hangar straight here. So that's going to be now to Randomy to hopefully get that position back from Newt. But we're going to have to see them later, because now it's going to be still a fight happening between Azure and Caffey at the very front of the field here. Nothing separates these two competitors, with again Azure getting really close into the bumper of that Porsche, heading towards the Aintree exit towards the Wellington straight. Again, hoping to use that slipstream as much as possible to get that run here into the back of that Porsche here. But we do see quite an impressive improvement as well from Dipping Sauce. Again, we just talked about the start of the race here, but despite them not getting quite the qualifying they would have hoped for, just Dipping Sauce keeping their nose clean, avoiding any incidents, already has put them up 4 positions up into P8. So a very good try from them for sure.
Definitely, and I just noticed Caffey, I think, made their first little mistake going out of the hangar or out of the Wellington straight. They went a little bit deep. Azure almost had the advantage there, but they weren't able to capitalize, and now they're just sitting in the back, just following Caffey. I'm beginning to wonder if maybe Azure's trying to play maybe the safe game, and they may try to get them, if they can't really push them to make a mistake, they may try to get them in pitch strategy.
I think it's more going to be mostly down to just them staying close enough to Caffey's bumper to keep that pressure. So making sure that Caffey cannot relax for even 1 second. They're just going to be promising, hey, I'm here. I will be with you. As soon as you make one mistake, I'm going to be going past you. So I think that's going to be all down to Caffey. If Caffey can hold on their nerves and keep that position ahead, now they're just going to be going down to Stowe. Both of them getting really nice and tidy, going really wide on the exit of Stowe. I do believe that's going to be almost an invalid lap from Caffey. to get that good exit. But that's going to be holding the gap just long enough for them to keep that position. We also see Fox in the background. They're about 1.5 seconds off here. Also another 1.5 seconds separating Fox from RK. So it seems like Fox is almost in the game here, but it seems like with RK's race pace not quite up to snuff of these top 3 competitors here. We see also a bit of a sliding moment. I do think that was a bit of a sliding moment from Caffey heading around the farm curve towards village. Oh, it's gonna be almost a contact between Asher and the Porsche of Caffey here into the village corner here. Well done from them to avoid that, but Asher is definitely very, very impatient from just desperately trying to get around that Porsche.
Yeah, every time they've gone into village, Azure has just gone as deep as they can, and it has been a lottery. That was a game of inches going into village. That was almost a definite hit. And hats off to Caffey for noticing it, and for Azure for avoiding anything bad happening. That was a bit of a nail biter. My heart almost sank into my chest just watching that. But that definitely will make Caffey think twice about trying to make a mistake there, because Azure, I think, has found Caffey's weak spot and is now going to try to exploit it.
Yeah, but it seems like that close call between Caffey and Azure kind of unsettled Azure as well. They're now sitting about a second off Caffey at the moment in the position. But we also got to have to come back to them later, because now it's going to be in front of me, still really close to the bumper of of the bluey car Newt here at the front here. Hope to get that position back here with dipping sauce being kind of a cork in the bottle, I do believe, with these 3 competitors here at the moment. Out there just going around Beckett's and Beckett's heading towards the hangar straight. Oh, it's going to be a bit of a off-wiggly moment here from News. Unsettling their car quite much, but also forcing Randomly to slow down quite a bit. And actually, it's going to be Randomly who's going to be the major loser from this whole fight here. Now sitting about a second off Newt here, not able to utilize any of that slipstream. But in the background, we also see Sipikitsune getting really close into the bumper of MN underscore here, heading now down the hangar straight towards Stowe here. It's not going to be quite enough for a move here so far, but Saberkitsune is very, very much eager to get around the Nissan GTR ahead of him. It's going to be a bit too wide on the exit of Stowe here, losing a bit of speed here, but it's not all over for Saber or MNU either here, with both of them fighting to hopefully get back up into the top 10.
Definitely, and they're going to try, I think. I mean, if you're in this spot, if I were one of them, I'd probably try to pit a little bit earlier than I can, repair any damage, because we know at the very least, MNU has a little bit of damage. Saber kind of lucked out in the fact that they only have cooked tires, but that is still an issue, as we see. Oh, that was MNU going insanely wide. I don't know what happened there, but something did. As we see Arcade now making him right on the bumper of Fox. They almost tried to make a move, but it did not work. They are now going to just slide it back. They're trying again. They may try to get it out of woodcut. Here we go. Is it going to be the move? I don't think so. I don't think they have the gap. They're cutting it in as deep as they can to try to make as much ground as they can. Is it going to work? They're going into T1. They're right on the bumper. Is it going to be contact? Is it going to be close? Oh, is it? No. They backed off on it a little bit. That was a little bit of a scary moment there.
Yeah, I think there was a mistake that happened from Vest to lose a lot of time. They're now sitting over 4 or 5 seconds off Azure and Caffey at the moment here. Now just holding off a charge from Arcade, but also Wushu. And we also see Simon in the background. They're also getting really close to capitalize on any insights that could be happening between these 3, 4, and 5th position competitors here so far. It's gonna be Arcade getting a slipstream on Fox here. Arcade having a bit of a peek up on the inside of the car here. That's gonna be holding on strong here around Stowe. Fox holding on their nerves strong here. It's going to be Arcade having to try again another time on the track here to hopefully find that around here. We also see Simon also caught up into this fight here between Wushu and Arcade and Fox here. So it's going to be a 4-horse fight for a potential third spot of the podium here so far. All of them hoping to get that done here. But it's going to be also a fight happening between Dibinsauce and Newt. With Newt also getting a bit of a big dive into Club Corner. It's not going to be quite enough to get that move to stick, but Newt is definitely howling all over that ass of their fellow Aston Martin driver here.
Yeah, they almost had the move there, but they backed off on it because they don't think they were going to be able to get it in the over section of that. But now they are just going to sit on the back bumper as Newt goes fairly deep into the grass. They were able to save it, but I think that's going to cost them a little bit of time. And definitely it did, because look who's in the back of Newt. That is Randomy, who lost a second, and they are now trying to regain it. They are right on the bumper of Newt. They almost touched going out of Village, heading down into the Wellington Straight. and unfortunately, that cost them a little bit of time, and it's now kind of evened out a little bit as we follow along. No, I thought there was going to be maybe a bit of a dive there, but no, they thought better of it as things have now kind of evened out with randomly right on the back bumper of Newt.
Yeah, it seems like a bit of a mistake from Randomly, where they weren't quite able to capitalize on the exit of Brooklands and Lafayette here to get past Newt here. So it's going to be them settling down into their own gaps here. But we do see, still see at the very top, Kathy and Azure Gold. Nothing separating between them. Only about a second or so, Azure Gold able to claw back that gap they had previously here. So it's going to be, again, down to Kathy just holding all their nerves here, getting absolutely every single corner right, every single exit right here, because even a tiny bit of mistake here, as we saw that, they are going a little bit wide into Stove Corner here, again giving a possibility for Asher to get even closer here, now heading towards Club Corner. Asher getting almost brushing the bumper of that Porsche again. It seems like the McLaren has the advantage in the braking here compared to the Porsche, with Asher always getting really, really close to hitting the bumper of their fellow competitor at the front here. So it's going to be just down to if Asher can just find that tiniest bit of margin here on the track to make a dive on the inside and get that moved done.
Well, we're heading back to the infamous corner of Village for Azure. They've made a few attempts at a dive here, and they're going to do it again as they right on the bumper. They touch! They spun Caffey out, and we've seen it so many times hitting in the Village. We knew it was going to happen eventually, and unfortunately, Azure is now going to have to forfeit that position back to Caffey, and it is now bunched up the field, and it is now given the lead to Fez. That is super unfortunate. It's been... I gotta be honest, we knew this was going to be coming eventually, and unfortunately it came to fruition. Thankfully it was a little bit of a light touch. I don't really know like why it kept happening at Village, but unfortunately it happened, and the one who walks away from it now is Fez.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, we're gonna have to see the replay on to see what exactly happened there, but we did indeed see this coming here with the McLaren of Azure always getting really close into the back bumper of Cappy into the Village corner here. We've got to be seeing again Cappy bring a little bit earlier than Azure had anticipated, so there's going to be again Azure hitting the back bumper of the Porsche 992 here, and unfortunately that's going to be costing Cappy. That's going to be costing Azure Goat even more here, with Azure now sitting all the ways down in P5 now, having to claw this way back up around all these other competitors. So they're probably going to be looking into doing an undercut on their track here so far if they're going to have to fight past all of these competitors.
Yes, definitely, and they're right now on the back of Wushel, and they're going to try to make the move here on the Hanger Straight. I think they've kind of got the run here, and Wushel's probably wisely just going to let them by. After all, they did have a pretty significant time difference, and Wushel is wisely just going to let Azure by, but they're not going to give up too much as they sit right on the back bumper of Azure. They almost touch. As we see, that's Caffey. That's Caffey who went insanely deep. They were in the grass, and RK now has gone past Caffey. I don't know what happened there, but maybe their tires may be having a little bit of trouble, and Azure is now again back on the back of Caffey. Maybe they're going to try to make a move here, and I'm beginning to wonder if maybe those tires are a little bit more cooked than we thought.
Yeah, this is incredible stuff. Now going to be seeing Azure again going for a bit of a dive up on the inside of Village here. Now squeezing that Porsche just barely on the inside of Village here. There's going to be compromise at the exit. There's going to be now going Caffey and Azure going side by side on the exit. There's going to be now Azure going wide, almost touching again, but it's going to be a side by side drag race between Azure and Caffey. It's going to be seeing an incredible view from Simon Lock on board, who's kind of going to be sitting in P5. There's going to be Azure on the inside, but it's going to be now the Porsche with the advance on the inside. For the Luffield corner, it's got to be Azure just barely squeaking by the Rexy Racing of Caffey into Woodcote. That's going to be Azure finally getting that position over Caffey. That's going to be only them in P3. That's going to be all of this time they have to claw back to get past the Arcade and get past Festfox, who is the ultimate winner of this entire kerfuffle here, just sliding past everybody into P1.
Yeah, it was very lucky for Fez that happened, and Azure was doing the smart thing and letting Caffey by, because remember, this is live stewarded. So if something were to because Azure gave back the position to Caffey, the incident will then be, if it technically it is technically kind of Azure's fault, it will be very much the penalty will be very much less. As we return to the fight between Randomly, Newt, and Dip, they're now really bunched up again, as They head down. I believe this is the hangar straight, and Newt is right on the bumper of dipping sauce. If they're going to go for a move, they try to go deep, but then they think better of it, losing a little bit of time trying to make that move. And Randomy, once again, is just trying to find that gap. Newt has been making a couple of mistakes, but it's not been enough to lose any. It's not been enough for Randomy to capitalize on, and it's basically been a waiting game between these three.
Yeah, well, speaking of penalties, we do have a bit of an update on our penalty situation at the moment. It's going to be now the car number 272. That's going to be Newt right here on broadcast. So they have a 15-second time penalty from that contact between them and the MN underscore underscores Nissan GTR here. So with MN underscore still all the way back down, all the way down in the field here, with Newt also here in the fight between Dipping Sauce and Radaby. This is the last thing that Newt wants here, because the more time he spends finding these cars here, the less time he has to claw back that 15-second time penalty. That's going to be putting them all the way down, very far down the field here when they have to serve that. And also on another penalty here, the Life Stewards have decided to give a 5-second time penalty to Azure Code for that contact between himself and Caffey. So that's also going to be an unfortunate setback for the McLaren 720S driver here. That's going to be putting them all the way down, probably all the way down into P7 or P8 here once the pit stops have been served here. So it's going to be looking very strong for Fox and Arcade to just run away with this, unless Azure can just get monster runs here in the run here, just claw back that 5-second time penalty.
Yeah, definitely. And it's very unfortunate. And I think what's going to happen here with Azure is they're going to probably pit as early as they can, so that way they maximize the amount of time that they can to not only serve that penalty, but claw their way back from the 5-second gap. And the earlier you serve it, the better.
Yes, indeed. And also, with the fight happening still between Newt, Randaby, and Dipping Sauce here at the moment, it's going to be a very, very tough uphill battle for Newt as well, trying to gain back the time lost from their penalty as well. But it's going to be Newt again going deep on the brakes into Stowe corner here. Bit of a spook for Dipping Sauce, but Dipping Sauce holding their nerves really nice and strong here, keeping their business in hell here. But every single time that Newt tries to make a dive on Dipping Sauce, trying to get around them, that's going to be giving an opportunity for Randaby behind them to also find the opening possible to get around Newt as well here. So it's going to be all down to see who is going to be the one to hold their nerves longest here, because already at the start, at the front of the field here, we saw Azure Code crack under pressure. Just going to be down to see who else is going to be cracking under the pressure of this intense race here.
Yes, definitely. As we continue to follow the fight between Newt and Dip, it's been kind of a pinball. Newt has been, unfortunately, kind of a pinball in the middle of this. But unfortunately, despite being the pinball in the middle of this, with that penalty, unfortunately, it's going to set them way back. And at this point, it's just going to be a recovery drive to whatever they can gain. And that's going to be more or less about it as we wait. I know the penalties have been in, as we see Azure is in pit lane. They are going into pit lane now. It is 37 minutes. So yeah. My theory, I guess, is correct. What Azure's doing is they're going to serve that penalty, get their tires in, and then just recovery drive the rest of the way there.
Yes, we also see Newt and Randaby also going to the pits at the same time, so Newt is going to be the one major loser of this pit stop battle here, with them having to serve their 15-second time penalty at the start of the race here. So it's going to be just down to see if Newt can just drive in clean air, get as much time gain as possible here, and just hoping that all of these other competitors are just going to be caught up in their own battles, losing time. That's going to be then hopefully getting a couple of positions back here. But it's going to be a major fight. We also see a bit of a gap forming between Fizz and Cappy. Also, I'm not quite sure what happened to RK. We don't see RK anymore. I'm not quite sure if there was like a disconnection that happened, but RK has completely disappeared from our standings.
Yeah, he has. I was about to say, yeah, he has. Absolutely. He's completely gone from the standings. I wonder if maybe his internet died. Let me, I will stand by. We'll let you know if we find anything. And I don't know what happened. So
Yeah, it's quite unusual. We'll have to live update you on that, so what's going to be happening at the moment. But so it's going to be, so with all of that happening, it's going to be Fox holding a very dominant lead so far of the race here, with Caffey 3.2 seconds behind the Ferrari 296 driver at the moment. So it's going to be now that both of them driving in cleaner. So hopefully, with RK out of the way here, and Caffey also driving cleaner, I think both of them are just hoping to just maximize their pace, get those quad laps in, just drive hot lap after hot lap to keep that gap, because that's going to be Azure go definitely with fire lit up underneath them to hopefully get back the time they lost.
Yeah, and I definitely agree. I think that's probably why they went in so early. It's worked for them before. It could work for them again. And let's also not forget, Azure has been so far has set the fastest time of the race. I wasn't able to see. Uh, the fastest time was a 1:57.917. That is on race fuel, mind you. So compared to everyone else's, he is a, either about a tenth off everybody else. So if he's able to keep that going for the rest of the race, he may be able to claw his way back up into the lead.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see because we do have Caffey also sitting in a 158.0 on their fastest lap time. So if Caffey can just hold on their pace here, I think it's going to be a very good chance for Caffey to get ahead and stay ahead of Azure once the pit stop cycle has finished here. And also, as an update on Arcane status, it is indeed confirmed that they had a disconnection. They got booted from the current competition server, and they are unable to join here. So, an unfortunate technical issue on their end caused them to retire from the race here. But that's just what happens sometimes in racing. Sometimes just your car breaks down, or in case of sim racing, your equipment fails, your sim racing rig stops working, or you just get a disconnection. That's just part of racing sometimes.
Yeah, it is what it is. You can only just shake your head and keep and look to the next race. It's very unfortunate. Arcade was in a very strong spot, and had this worked out for them, they would have had a really good chance of maybe even winning this if they were able to hold off Caffey and Azure. And as we see, I believe Azure is now out of pit lane, and back out on the racetrack. So it's now a monumental charge from Azure as they head down into the Wellington Strait. But remember, they have nobody there with them. It is just them. So at this point, it is set the fastest times and set as many of them as you possibly can and try to claw back what you lost.
Yes, and just as we were saying here, we now have Caffey heading into the pit lane here, serving their own pit stop here. So it's probably going to be Caffey getting ahead of this pack here with not having to serve that time penalty that Azure had to do here. But it's not going to be too far because they were still up. I think it was like a second or a couple second gap here separating Azure and Caffey by the time Azure went into the pits here. So I think by the time Caffey is going to be rolling out of their pits here, hoping to get that stop nail just right. There's going to be maybe a couple seconds separating between the two competitors here. So it's going to be just that competition, that drive relit as soon as Caffey rolls out the pits here. We now see Azure going down. I think that's going to be, yes, that's going to be the Wellington Straight here, heading around to Brooklands, Luffield, and Woodcote. We're going to be watching very closely to see how close the gap is going to be between these two competitors, and whether or not Caffey got that pit stop nailed just perfectly to hold on their lead so far as well. It's going to be now Azure going around the final corner, heading down Luffield towards Woodcote with Caffey still in the pits so far, but I do believe they're now moving again. Just moving. Okay, that's going to be Caffey now heading towards the pit exit. Now it's going to be watching very closely what this gap is going to be between these two competitors. Now going to be Caffey out heading on the Cops corner. It's got to be indeed about 4 seconds between these two competitors. So it's just got to be now down to if Caffey can hold on that similar pace to Azure. And looking at the fastest lap so far, I think that is going to be very much possible.
Yeah, very much, and it's unfortunate for Azure. Azure was doing it everything they can to try to maybe make a little bit of time, but I think Caffey knew what they were doing and decided to pit early, get it done, and try to keep that gap alive. But remember, Azure is also in open air, but so is Caffey, so we'll have to wait and see where this goes.
Yes, and also looking at their pit stop so far, we also saw Caffey doing a 32-second time stopped, whereas Azure had a 37 seconds time stopped here. So despite Azure being really flying with the track here, maybe getting those really good undercut laps here, it was not quite enough because their slower pit stop negated all of the advantage they would have gained out there otherwise. So that's just going to be now down to Azure, hopefully just gaining those laps as fast as possible, getting as many of them as possible. We now also see Fox finally rolling into the pits as well to serve their own pit stop as well here, now giving Simon Luck and Wushul inheriting them the lead of the race here so far, but they have not yet served their pit stops themselves, so it's just going to be down to see how well Fox can get their own time served here, get their own pit stop served. It's going to be down to if you can just nail your pit spot just right, because if you're going to be going a little bit too wide, a little bit too left, too right, too forward, too back, you're going to have to be pulled into a pit box. That's going to be costing you precious seconds, and in this pro class, in this very, very tight pro class, it's those seconds that will count between you being in the lead of the race or even all the way down in P7.
Yeah, and now it's a matter of can Simon Luck and Wushel maybe try to gain a little bit of time with these pit stops because they are pitting a little bit late as we see Fez just drop down and away he goes. Let's see where this puts them. I don't think, yeah, they still are ahead of Caffey. So we'll have to see. This could make things very interesting. Yeah, he beat Caffey going out of the pit lane. So if Fez Fox is able to hold off Caffey and maybe even slow him down, this might open the door for a three-way battle between him, Caffey, and Azure later down the line.
Yeah, we do see in the background, there's going to be Caffey now rolling down towards the hangar straight, with also Azure a little bit further back in the background as well. All of them a couple of seconds separated between them, so just going to be watching them very, very closely on this final 30 minutes of the race to see if the gap is going to be closing between them. We also already saw from Fez at the start of the race here with one mistake where just caused them to slip all the way down several seconds to then get caught up by RK, by Wushul, and by Simon Luck here. So it's good. It's just going to be to see if there's going to be a similar kind of mistake happening from Caffey or from Fez to just cost them this little top three-way fight here for the provisional lead of the race here to bunch them up together here. So got to be watching them very, very closely.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be down to the wire as we see Simon Luck and Wushel both coming in to serve their pit stops. And this will now open the, I believe that will be all except Dipping Sauce, I believe, have served their pit stops, and I'm sorry, MNU and Saber have also not served their pit stops either. But it's coming there. Everybody's serving their pit stops fairly early, so that's gonna kind of work in their favor, I think.
Yes, indeed, it's going to be Saber Kitsune and underscore now also running into the pit. So now it's going to be only Dipping Sauce, the final car of the grid here. I think they just want to be sitting here at the front of the pack here for as long as they can here, in clean here, and just holding on that P1 until they have to get to the pits themselves. So it's going to be watching very closely to see how long the pit stop between Simon and Wushul is going to be, because they both went in at the same time. So it's going to be if either of them got a little bit of an unoptimal launch on their cars. It does not seem to be the case. I think Simon and Wushul both had about the same time stopped here on their cars. That gives them, so they're just going to be still side by side almost heading into the exit of the pit lane. They're now both moving again here, heading on the exit, and I don't think there's much separating between them. Yes, indeed, there's only a couple of seconds separating the two competitors. And it seems like Simon Luck was able to get a bit of a gap formed up on Wushul on the pit exit.
Yeah, they were able to get a little bit of a gap, and that's all you really need, because now you're in clean air, and unfortunately for Wushel, they don't have a draft, so they can't keep to the bumper of Simon. But you know who else benefited from this? Newbie, because if you look in the background, Newbie is now gaining on Wushel, and remember, these two drivers just pitted. Their tires are still fairly cold, so that means if Newbie is able to push just a little bit harder, they may be able to get under the bumper of Wushel later down the line.
Yeah, we will have to see how their pace is going to be developing once Wushel and Simon have their first laps around the track here so far. We see also Simon getting really, Newbie getting really close on the grass of the club corner here, and now heading down the Hamilton straight here, just trying to chase down their fellow Porsche 992 driver here of Wushel ahead of them. With Newbie has had quite a quiet race here so far. Just kind of driving on their own here, but it's just going to be those quiet races here, just hoping to keep your nose clean. That's if you're just hoping to capitalize on any incidents that's going to be happening further up the field here to gain some more positions.
Yeah, and that's really, like, you really kind of want a quiet race, especially early on, because then you don't have any issues. You can just drive, and then later on the line, you can start pushing and try to make those positions that you can. And really, as long as you can make consistency is key, especially in a track like this. If you're able to stay insanely consistent, you will gain positions and you will gain time, and that's more or less, that's basically the most important thing, especially in races like this. And that's definitely going to help out Newbie in the end.
Yeah, we also had a question here from chat about Dipping Sauce holding a bit of long enough of a gap to pit freely, and I don't think that's going to be the case here, because Dipping Sauce is sitting about 30 seconds from Vestbox, but the pit stop delta for this race seems to be a little over a minute here. So looking at the gap here so far, so with Dipping Sauce pitting, that would put them just in front of Randomy. at the moment here, looking at the gap so far. But it's just going to be all down to if they can just nail their pit stop just right. We all have a 20-minute pit window, and with 26 minutes left of the race here so far, it's just going to be the next 6 minutes when Dipping Sauce has to pull into the pits and serve the pit stop. And we have seen from previous races that Dipping Sauce always wants to pit as late as maximally possible here, with no matter what. Just got to be
Yeah,
down
no,
to see and just trying to hopefully get that pit stop absolutely perfectly and just holding all their consistent lap times here so far. Looking at the average lap pace, we see Dipping Sauce has been holding about a 2-minute dead lap time so far, with Randomly also holding on a 2-minute flat lap time. So we do see Newt in the background getting 159s here, so it could be a possibility that if Dipping Sauce doesn't quite nail the pit stop right, that they could be slipping right back down into that fight between Randomly and Newt.
yeah, and as you say that, here we go. Dipping is now coming into pit lane, hitting it nice and easy. I think that was just close enough. I hope they didn't get a penalty for that. They were coming in pretty hot, and let's see what this comes of, because now they are heading into pit lane, and that will be everyone serving their pit stops. And now the race continues as Fez now is going to more than likely pass Dipping as yeah, they're heading down Woodcut now. The race is now on. As you see, Caffey is now gaining on Fez slowly but surely, and it will now just be a game of seconds.
Yes, indeed. And looking at the last lap pace here, so about we see Festfox able to get a 158.4, and with Kathy and Asher in the background getting a 152 and a 158.5, respectively here. So the gap is certainly closing ever so slightly. Just going to be down to if Festfox can just stay fast enough to keep that pace here in these last 24 minutes of the race here. We also now see Randomly going around the pit lane here, getting ready to hopefully jump Dipping Sauce in the pit lane at the moment. We're not quite sure where Dipping Sauce is at the moment. We're going to be watching the very close. It's going to be Dipping Sauce, right? It's almost side by side now, heading down Cobb's corner, heading towards Mackett's and Beckett's. They're both challenging. It's going to be now Dipping Sauce losing all that fight here with Randomly just squeaking past the Aston Martin driver here into Mackett's and Beckett's here. So that undercut from Randomly worked just in their favor, able to just squeeze past them. And now it's going to be that long, arduous fight between the two over, unless Dipping Sauce can get that run up into Randomly's Ferrari 296, going down the hangar straight here, hoping to have a bit of a peek up on the inside. Randomly going on that defensive outside line here. It's not going to be enough for Dipping Sauce to make that move here, but Dipping Sauce is just immediately on fire, immediately fired up, ready to go challenge that Ferrari 296 here to hopefully get that position back. Almost bumper to bumper heading towards Club Corner.
Heading into Club Corner, they almost touch heading into the corner, and unfortunately that's going to compromise Dipping going out of Club, and is now given a gap to Randomly. But forever, how long that stays remains to be seen, as Randomly is doing everything they can to win this race. Remember, in the last race in Spa, Randomly actually jumped Dipping on the last corner, and they were able to jump them and pass them with 0.01 of a second at the line. And I don't think Randomly wants another repeat of that, so they're going to give it everything they can to build that gap as big as they can.
Absolutely, indeed. But Dipping Sauce is also going to be very, very eager to get their tires fired up and get back up on that chase to Randomly. But we also see Newbie in the background slowly closing that gap to Wushul at the front here. Both of them have been running about equal lap times here, but we do see Newbie getting 58.7s, meanwhile Wushul has been getting mostly in the low 59s here. So lap after lap, Newbie has been slowly getting. We see a little bit of a mistake happening from Wushul going through Mackett's and Beckett's again, costing a little bit of time here. Again, giving an opportunity for Newbie to close that gap even closer to their fellow Porsche driver here. And it's going to be a very, very exciting fight happening between these two competitors for sure as well. We see Newbie has had a quite race here so far, but with keeping their nose clean, they've been able to get quite a few positions here, and just and now they're hoping to get another position over Wushul as well.
Yeah, and now they've just got to fight their way up and past Wushul. They're slowly but surely gaining on them, and it's just a matter of time before they try to make a move. Meanwhile, the benefitor of this would probably be Simon, because now Wushul has to worry about not just trying to gain on Simon, they now have to worry about defending Newbie as well. And that is not a situation you really want to be in, because as much as you want to gain time, you don't want to you don't want to have to worry about the guy behind you trying to make a move on you and costing you even more time.
Absolutely, indeed. And looking at the top three fight here so far, we also see a bit of the gap has again been closing ever so slightly lap after lap. Here we see 158.2 coming from Caffey on the last lap here, with a 158.1 happening from Festbox as well. They're now going to be going around the finish line here for another run here, so we're going to be watching their latest lap times here. It seems to be a bit of a mistake from Festbox, cost them quite a bit of time. They got a 58.8, meanwhile Caffey got themselves a 58.3. They are getting quite close to challenging the leading Simufur driver for the win of the race here so far. With Caffey seems to be very good at this, because meanwhile, while Caffey has not always been the fastest qualifier on the grid here, they have almost always been there at the front of the grid here, challenging for wins, challenging for podiums at the very least here. And we're watching this again here with them able to just get solid lap after solid lap. We do see them dipping their wheel in the grass a little bit here, but that did not seem to cost them too much time. They were again just calling that Ferrari ahead of them, back corner by corner, straight by straight, lap after lap here, and hoping to perhaps challenge them for these last 20 minutes.
Yeah, 20 minutes left, and unfortunately, just due to these times, Azure's not been able to make a bit of a gain as of late. So they're probably just at this point just trying to recover and maybe secure that P3 spot, which they definitely will. But if Caffey is able to gain on Fez, it could turn into a fight, and fights turn into lost times, which may give Azure a little bit of a chance to maybe claw their way back up into the lead.
Yes, for all of the incidents that Asher, well, the one major incident that they were in, they have seemed to have mitigated their damage quite effectively with RK. Unfortunately retired from the race here, with that gives him one position back here, and with the Azure Space also giving them the opportunity to slip past Simon and Wushu back into P3 position here. So I think with Azure seems to be struggling a little bit on their pace at the moment, not quite able to keep up with the pace of Kathy and Festbox ahead of them. So it's just got to be Azure hopefully hoping that Caffey will catch up into Festbox, and not just catch up, but also get caught up in that fight and slow each other down here to put Azure back into that top 3 position and potentially for another race win.
Yeah, definitely. And this will be I correct? Well, this won't be the Fez's first win, but it'll be his first race in a while, and he's going to win it if he's able to hold off Caffey, which, if memory serves right, they've done before, and they are definitely going to try to do again as they enter Maggots and Beckett's. Fez doing everything they can to keep that gap alive. It's now a 1.7 gap. So as long as they're able to kind of keep that gap for the rest of the race, they should be okay.
Yes, indeed, but the gap has been slowly closing here. They're actually only 1.3 seconds separated with these two competitors here. We also see the gap closing again even more between Wushu and Nick, with Nick only sitting about half a second of Wushu here. Now both of them heading down the hangar straight here, with perhaps Newbie now finally getting a bit of an advantage from the slipstream of the Porsche ahead of them to just slowly get closer and closer. It's not going to be enough to make a move here so far, but Wushu's probably going to be feeling the pressure now, with their very striking yellow and black striped Porsche behind them, just aching to pressure them and get past them into P6, P5. Apologies.
P5, yeah, and now it's now just a matter of a waiting game for Newbie. They've just got to get close enough to hopefully have Wushel make another mistake and take advantage of it. And now now things are going to be interesting. We've got 18 minutes left on the clock, so plenty of time for something to happen between all of our drivers. And it's now gone down to the less than 20 minutes, so anything can happen.
Yes, and it seems like Newbie has been finally able to catch up into Wushu's rear bumper here at the moment. Now they're heading down the Wellington straight there, with Newbie definitely in an advantage of Wushu's slipstream heading down the straight here. So it's going to be enabling them to get closer and closer. Not quite enough in that lunging distance so far, but we're just going to be watching them very close. Getting a bit of an unsettling from their car, sliding their car, cost them a lot of time heading towards Luffield and Woodcote, costing them all of that pace they just gained here on the straight. So it's just going to be now down to Newbie also keeping their cool, not making any more mistakes. Again, a bit too wide here into Luffield, again costing them even more time here. So I think Newbie probably got a little bit too eager to catch up into the rear bumper of Wushu, and that just cost them dearly.
Yeah, it cost them incredibly dearly. The gap's now increased to a second. So that half a second that they had is now gone. They're now going to have to shake their head and just keep going and try to regain that time. Plenty of time to do it, but still, he's probably wishing that was still a half a second gap. Three turns ago, as you see Newbie going a little bit of wide going into Chapel. And unfortunately, that's going to cost them even more time. Another 2/10 going out of Chapel. I'm wondering if maybe there's something up with their tires. Maybe they've got a little bit of a graining or maybe a flat spot somewhere.
I think it could just be down to pressure as well here, because not only does the leading car have to maintain the pressure of just maintain their pace here, it's just also got to be down to the chasing car to keep their own head cool, to not make those mistakes, not go a little bit too wide on the exit, not dip a wheel in the crash here, to keep that chaser, to apply that pressure here. Because it takes two to tango, in a way here. So it's definitely going to be down to these two to see if both of them can keep their cool here. And it seems like Newbie cracked a little bit under pressure here, lost a bit of time here, but they still have about 50 minutes left to go here to get back into the rear bumper of Fushul. But speaking of pressure, speaking of 50 minutes, it's going to be Kathy again getting even closer to the rear bumper of Festfox. The gap is now less than a second between these two competitors. Now they're going to be going down that sweeping left hand. I do believe it's going to be down into Club Corner and then around into the Hamilton Straight, if I'm correct. Unless, actually, I'm mistaken.
No,
There's actually Luffield heading towards Woodcote. So it's going to be now, Kathy going really wide on the exit of Luffield here now towards Woodcote. But it's going to be Kathy absolutely now getting that chase down on Festfox. So again, it's going to be down to who can keep their cooler head in these very tight conditions here between these two cars here, to see who will be the one to first crack under pressure.
Yeah, and let's not forget the tire advantage. Even though Kathy pitted early, that means that their tires are older, which means later down the line, the grip's going to be coming really much into play. And remember, the Porsches have their engines in the rear. So all of that weight is on the rear of those tires. And eventually, those tires wear down a lot faster than the fronts, which can cause problems later down the line if you're not able to manage it right. As we see, Kathy is just right on the bumper of Fez. They're giving it everything they can to make up that time that they lost in that corner. And it's working more or less to perfection. And as we see, Kathy went a little bit wide going out of, I believe that was Vale, or Stowe, I'm sorry. And they weren't able to really kind of take advantage of it. As we see, wait.
What?
What?
Did we just see Fest disconnect?
I
think
believe
we just
so.
See, wait, they are on track, I do believe. No, session has ended? I am not quite sure what's happening here. We just... I'm not quite sure where it has Fist gone. They are back on track. Are they still in the pits here? No, they are in the wall at the moment. I am not quite sure. They have now teleported into the pits here. I think it's some kind of weird technical issue or something else here that's caused them to now teleport back to the pits here. And that's going to be giving Kathy the lead of the race here. Unprecedented situation here with both RK and Fest, the two top dogs of the race here, both retiring and now all the way back at the end of their grid here. Now inheriting the lead back to Kathy for no fault of his own.
Yeah, this is the second time this has happened. Remember, the last time this happened, it was when Saber ran into the back of Azure, costing them the lead. Like, I don't know what's been... Yeah, we're going to stand by. We are going to attempt to try to show what happened. Like, I don't know what happened. Like, when we were on the camera, it just disconnected them for some reason.
Yeah, we're going to have to watch very closely what's going to be happening. They're not going to be going around Club Corner, heading towards the Hamilton Straight here. Fez is still holding on strong here, perfectly fine, but then they just suddenly teleport and disconnect. So it seems to be some kind of server issue or an internet issue. We also had some reports from RK that they did not have any issues with their own internet. It seems to be an issue with Kuno's servers that caused them to just suddenly be booted from the race here. So unfortunately, that's not going to be... it's going to be depriving us from a fight for the lead, but we're still going to be having a fight for P6 with Dipping Sauce now caught back up to the rear bumper of Randomby, now heading towards the Hamilton Straight here. Almost getting that slipstream now, hoping to get that run just enough. They're actually now going to be going down through Maggots and Beckett's, almost bumper to bumper between these two here. That's going to be hopefully Dipping Sauce, hoping to maintain close enough of a gap here to that Ferrari 296 to get that slipstream they need heading towards the hangar straight here. It's going to be watching these two very, very closely. Again, Dipping Sauce got a really good launch. I think that might be just enough to unleash the power of that Aston Martin V8 kid up on the inside, but they're going to be now Bradby just parking their car right in the middle of the road here. So there's not going to be space for Dipping Sauce to get that moved down here, but Bradby is definitely feeling the pressure from the G card.
Definitely feeling pressure and definitely giving it everything they can to try to hold on to that position. As we see Dipping going really deep, going into club corner. They tried to make the move, but it did not work, and it unfortunately cost them even more time going out of club, heading into the Hamilton straight. That gap that was less than 3/10 has now jumped to almost a second with that move, as we see Dipping going as deep as they can, entering the village complex. And that was just incredibly unfortunate that that move didn't work. But it's now a mind game, because look who's in the back and not too far behind. That is, I believe, is Newt, who had a 15-second penalty. And with that 15-second penalty, within this span of time, they were able to claw back to a 3-second gap. We may actually see a repeat of what happened earlier in the race, and this could get very interesting very quickly.
Yeah, we will have to wait and see, because we also see further down, that's also going to be Saber Kitsune caught up to the back of Newt as well in all of that kerfuffle. It's going to be, a bit of a wiggle happening from the Ferrari of Randaby here, costing a bit of a time on the exit over to Woodcote here, giving again an opportunity for Dipping Sauce to caught up here. But it seems like with Randaby and Dipping Sauce fighting to get past each other here, holding on their positions here, that's going to be giving an opportunity for Newt to catch up as well and negate their 15-second time loss from their penalty, and also negating the incident that Saber Kitsune had at the start of the race here, dropping them all the way to the back of the field here. That's going to be, again, Dipping Sauce getting really close into the bumper of Randaby here, going through Maggots and Beckett's, through Chapel to Hagar. That's going to be, again, Dipping Sauce hoping to get close enough here to get that launch up into the back of Randaby. I don't think it's going to be quite enough to make a move into the Stowe corner here, but Dipping Sauce just needs to be getting a little bit closer. On the next lap around here, we see a bit of a slide happening from Randaby going around Stowe, heading to Vale, and then to Club Corner here. It's going to be very, very close fight happening between these two, but the more they fight, the more Randaby has to defend, the more Dipping Sauce has to make those dives on the inside to force a mistake from Randaby. That's going to be pulling Newt and Saber Kitsune even closer to this fight.
Yeah, definitely is. It's these mistakes that make a very big issue, and it could turn into a position lost if it gets too serious, as we see Dipping once again going on the nose of Randaby, almost getting it into them at Village. We've seen it happen before. It almost happened again, as we see Randaby holding him off for the time being, as they head down the Wellington Straight. I was right the first time. But unfortunately, the speed advantage of that Aston is just too much.
Yes, indeed. Randaby has been really good in those corners here, but it's going to be just down to that straight line speed of that Aston Martin V8 that gives them the opportunity to stay closer. Again, it's also a bit of a mistake from Randaby around Luffield that gives another opportunity for Dipping Sauce to get even closer down the main street now towards Cobb's Corner. So it's going to be some really close fight again with these two, again going around Cobb's Corner in max speed, just barely on the track limits here. Again, a bit of a time loss, I think, from Dipping Sauce here that caused them, but they're still going to be right on the bumper of Randaby. They're going to be now through Mackett's, through Beckett's, through the Chapel. They're just, again, just inching it just close enough. There's going to be seeing if Randaby's going to be cut a bit of a wide. It's going to be compromised exit from Randaby. It's going to be Randaby with the glass. It's going to be giving them a very good exit for Dipping Sauce. That's going to be then closer than ever before on the bumper of that Ferrari 296. That could be the chance that he needs to make that dive up on the inside towards Stowe. They're almost going to be side by side in the Stowe. Dipping Sauce diving deep on those brakes. You're pushing Randaby wide, and that's going to be Dipping Sauce just barely holding on that position, but they're going to be going wide. It's got very, very wide apparently. That's going to be giving Randaby the opportunity to also dive on the inside of Club Corner. Still holding on this fight here between these two competitors. It's going to be that Dipping Sauce having to concede the position back here. A very weird situation from Dipping Sauce going so wide on the exit of Vale that gave Randaby the position back. Very, very, very unusual stuff from these two competitors here, but we still also see in the background is also going to be Newt and Saber Kids are also getting close, but again, Dipping Sauce having another dive into the back of Randaby here, heading around Village into the loop, into the entry. That's going to be almost a four-way fight now for P6 of the field here, between all of these four competitors here. But again, Dipping Sauce hoping to get another run-up into the Wellington Straight out here now, hoping to get hopefully a dive into Brooklyn's, into Lafayette down. It's going to be Randaby just weaving, hoping to break that slipstream from the Aston Martin V8 of their Aston Martin V8 at the back. It's gonna be close again, but all of this fighting, all of this competition is gonna begin a beat dipping sauce going wide into the exit of Luffield here, again hoping to gain that position back. Actually, apologies, that was actually the outboard of Newt here. We saw them going a bit deep here, but we also see at the back of Newt there's gonna be Saber Kitsune also in this fight here for P6 of the grid here. All hoping to, we can see in the rearview mirror of that. Oh, it's going to be a bit of a wiggle moment from Newt here, causing a bit of time here, not getting quite close enough to dipping sauce into Randaby to get up into the fight here. But it's now going to be again, we see from a bit of a grass moment from Dipping Sauce, losing them a bit of time here going through Maggots and Beckett. So it's going to be another, hopefully, a dive here. We see from Randaby again, a bit of a compromised exit. I do believe there's going to be again another opportunity for Dipping Sauce to use that slipstream on the hangar straight here, get closer up, make another dive here into Stowe Corner. But I think it's going to be Randaby holding on just far enough to keep their advance from Dipping Sauce and keep that position held. But it's going to be Dipping Sauce really close heading down Vale into Club Corner. It's not going to be quite close enough here. It's now going to be Dipping Sauce, Newt, Saber, all of them with also Randaby, all of them within a second of each other here, all hoping to get that very close P6 position here, with Randaby being the cork in the bottle for all of our competitors and just desperately trying to get past this for pink and white Ferrari 296. It's going to be Dipping Sauce again, almost brushing the back of that car here, heading down Abbey into farm towards Village. It's going to be just Dipping Sauce probably getting a little bit frustrated not getting past this Ferrari 296, almost diving into the back of the Ferrari 296. We also see in the back it's going to be Saber Kitsune also having a bit of a dive here on Newt, getting around Village and almost getting past the fellow Aston Martin driver here, but still not quite enough to get that move started. It's all so close with only 5 minutes left to go on the clock.
5 minutes left to go. Anything can happen, and anything will happen. We see Saber right on the bumper of Newt. Any second, they're going to try to make a move again. They go really deep. Oh, that was so close. They almost went into the back of Newt, but they were able to save it at the last second. And thankfully, they were able to prevent another horrible collision. It would have been a repeat of Spa if that happened, but thankfully they were able to keep it going. And here we go, heading toward Maggots and Beckett once again. And they are, as we see Dip, they got loose going out of turn one. But we're able to save it, but unfortunately it's going to cost them a lot of time as we see Saber trying to make a move on the outside going into Maggots and Beckett. That's not a wise move. They were able to cut it off as we see Dust being kicked up once again by, I believe that's going to be the Aston of Dipping, as Saber once again doing everything they can to try to get by Newt as they head down the hangar straight towards Stowe. Is Saber going to try to maybe make another move on the inside? They tried once, it may work again. The answer is no. They're going to stick to the back bumper of Newt.
Yes, indeed. All of our competitors are going to have very worn tires at the moment here, just hoping to get that done. As we see a bit of a dive happening from Saber Kitsune on the outside of Newt here, but it's not going to be quite enough to get the move here. We see both of them just wiggling wide, hope to get on the exit of Club Corner now towards the Hamilton straight here. All of them just desperately trying to get around each other to get those precious points in the overall championship fight here. We'll see at the front it's going to be Dipping Sauce almost pushing the back of Randaby. They're going to be going side by side. Randaby going wide around Farm coming into the village. It's going to be Dipping Sauce on the outside. Now on the inside heading around the loop. It's going to be Dipping Sauce hoping down, squeezing Randaby wide. I think this was just what we needed here. Unless Dipping Sauce, no, he's going wide. He's going to the grass. That's going to be losing a lot of time. It's going to be now Newt going past. It's going to be Saber Kitsune going past. A critical mistake at the very first point of the entire race. They're going to be Swampington all the way to the back of this fight here, and an incredibly bad time to do a mistake that's going to be kicking themselves in the back so hard. That's going to be now down to Saber Kitsune and Newt and Randaby to hopefully just hold on their position. That's going to be now Randaby hopefully just getting away from this entire fight here, with going to be again Saber Kitsune diving so close to the back of Newt, around towards Brooklands, towards Luffield here. Again, nothing separating between these competitors here, but still no progress made for Saber Kitsune.
Yes, definitely. As we see, Saber has been trying. They've gotten super close at getting it to work. As we see Newt once again getting a little bit loose going out of turn one, but we're able to save it as they head toward Maggots and Beckett's. Randaby right now has a fairly comfortable gap, but not comfortable enough because here comes Newt. They were able to get a little bit of run going into Maggots and Beckett's, and now heading into Chapel. They're going to try to take advantage of it. Remember that Ferrari has a little bit more of a speed advantage over the Aston, but the problem is Newt has now able to get into Randaby's draft and is going to take full advantage of it as they head down toward the next corner. Are they able to kind of keep it going? Yes, but it's a little bit of a train. This is all for the top 10 spot, for the top 6 spot as they head toward the Hamilton Straight. Anything can happen as we see Newt with a little bit of a wiggle out of out of club corner, but was able to save it. But it might be advantage Saber. Are they going to try to go for another dive? Because we've only got 2 laps left. There's After this one, this is going to be it. Only a minute 15 to go. Anything can happen, and it is now everyone for themselves. And we see Newt. They cuts the corner going out of Village. That's going to cost them a lot of time. But Saber almost took advantage of it, but was not able to capitalize. But now Randomy is able to kind of run away with it as they head down toward the Wellington Straight.
Yes, and despite that mistake from Dipping Sauce, he's still back in this fight here. He's now caught up to the back of Saber Kitsune of that Lamborghini Huracan here. Now they're all just going almost bumper to bumper, heading around the Wellington Straight into Luffield towards Brooklyn and the Luffield here. That's going to be again, so Newt hoping to get that better exit to get back into the bumper of Randomly here, but it seems like Saber was the one to get the best exit of this entire bunch here. Saber Kitsune just slowly clawing in that difference back to the Aston Martin of Newt ahead of them, but it's going to be again with a couple more laps to go. I think it's going to be almost their final lap around the track here with only 20 seconds left on the clock here. This could be their final chance here. We could be probably seeing some desperation dives here happening from all 4 of these cars here, with now Random just desperately holding on that P6 machine. They've been assaulted by Newt, by Saber, by Dipping, by so many cars here, but they have been holding their heads strong, keeping themselves cool. That's just going to be just a couple more laps here to get that P6 spot here on the track here, with again nothing separating these 4 cars here. With again Newt now just hoping to use that slipstream on the hangar straight here. Get closer and closer and closer, but it's not going to be enough to make a move around the hangar around the Stowe corner here. Again, with Dipping Sauce going wide and slow, again losing a lot of time here. Those critical, this is not the time to be making mistakes right now, Dean. It's now just going to be down to the club corner again. Newt's getting really close into the back of Randomly here. Now going around into the Hamilton Straight with Saber Kitsune also right in the background as well here. Now the timer is now out. Now it's going to be Cavi across the finish line. Cavi has now officially won this race here, but we're going to have to come back to them later because we still have this fight happening between Newt and Saber and Dipping Sauce, because everything can happen between these 4 cars here at the moment, with it's only a couple of corners left to go here. And Dipping Sauce now going around into the village complex here, just holding on tight, holding on strong as possible here, holding on that advance for a little bit while longer. We also see Ashercote, Simon Log, Wushu getting the P2, P3, and P4 spots here, with now Newbie crossing along that P5 here. We also now got to be down to these 4 cars here, with Randomly still holding on strong. That final dive, just hold on tight, keep your head cool. Just 1 more corner, 2 more corners here to go here. Now down into Brooklands, into Luffield, with the final chance for a dive here happening from Newt. I don't think it's going to be quite enough here, or neither from Saber Kitsune. That's going to be now down to Randomly, now going around Luffield, now heading towards Woodcote. It's going to be a bit of a wiggle happening from that Ferrari 290, but I don't think it's going to be quite enough. It's going to be Randomly from this entire chaos, from this car, is holding on that P6 just by a sliver of hair, with Newt in P7, Saber Kitsune in P8, and Dipping Sauce in P9. Despite all that fighting, it's so close, all the way to the last minutes.
I almost was gonna say I think Randomy almost mistimed it, and Randomy saw it, or Newt saw it, almost lost that position, but unfortunately, thankfully they were able to hold on to that position. It almost was a repeat of Monaco there for a second, but they were able to save it. Amazing drive from Randomy and holding off those 3 drivers.
Absolutely, indeed. And we also had Emin Underscore valiantly getting their car towards the finish line here. They had that early crash that unfortunately dropped them all the way to the back of the field, and they did not have the pace to catch up to the back of the field here. But well done from Emin Underscore to get that P10 position in the end. And we also had Fez, Fox, and RK as our retirements of the race here. And unfortunate disconnections happening from both of them. But hopefully we're going to be seeing them back again for future races in Simufur. But again, a big congratulations to Kathy for securing that win here of the Simufur Pro Invitational Series here, with Azure Code able to get a very decent damage score here. With despite them just hitting the back of Kathy, they were able to get back up into the position they qualified in here in P2, with some luck going in his way here. So it's going to be a very exciting race here next week when we're going to be going to Snetterton.
Yeah, Snetterton is going to be a very interesting track. It's one of those tracks that is more built for touring cars, but GT3s do race here, but it's going to be incredibly close quarters. It's going to be incredibly tight fighting, and with the tight fighting that we've had so far, I don't know. I feel like things are about to get a whole lot more interesting, but I think it's going to also be advantage Porsche in a track like that because it's a lot of tight corners, which the Porsche thrives in. So it could make things very interesting going into the next race.
Definitely indeed. But that's going to be it from Simufur for this race here. Unfortunately, we are not going to be able to provide live points for the end of this round here. But if I am got a bit of a back of the napkin and quick hit, Matthew, I do believe it is going to be Cavi solidifying their lead in the championship by quite a big margin here. With Ashergood, I do believe it's going to be now then sitting P2 in the overall standings here. But we're going to be seeing very, very close to see if Vess or Simon or Wushel can get back into the fight here because Simon has been there in the top threes for 2 races in a row now. So this could be a chance for Simon Luck if they just see more accidents, more disconnections happening from the top 3 of the fighters here or the grid here. This could give a chance for Simon Luck to also get some good positions here. But we're going to have to see that all next time because for now, I am tired. My voice is shot, so I need a bit of a rest after a very, very hard fought, very exciting race between all of us here in Simufur.
Yeah, it definitely was a lot of fun, and my throat hurts as well, and not just from inhaling a little bit of smoke. We did have something get a little overcooked downstairs, so I do apologize for my throat being a little bit choked up a little bit. But I had a ball. This pro platinum event has been an absolute amazing series so far, and I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. So
Yes, yes, indeed. And I think that's going to be it from all of us here at Semifro. I want to be saying a big thank you to our commentary team, to Wolfin Foxdale, and for Paliku'i here in the background, just providing us the broadcast and the cool angles and all this live data here for all of us to peruse and look over here. And a big thank you to Wolfin, my co-commentator, and a big thank you to everybody else here at Semifro for making these broadcasts possible. And for all of you here in the chat for tuning in and enjoying this very wonderful race here. Again, next week, it's going to be the Snetterton race to be looking forward to. And there's also going to be a repeat of the Ferrari Challenge Zandvoort race going to be happening next week as well. We unfortunately had some server issues last Friday that prevented us from doing the Ferrari Challenge race here. But do definitely check out the Ferrari Challenge race happening next Friday in Zandvoort. A very wet and very wet and very tricky race here. But for now, from everybody here at Semifur, thank you for watching and have a good night.